Hi. Yep, I know. But for 2 weeks, I'm going to try meditation to find my inner zen, to calm my inner brain. Or at least I'm going to figure out if I can cut back on the booze a little bit. I don't think my knees are going to like this episode. Okay, here's the deal. My name's Rick Higgins, and I'm creaky as hell, and I want to try to find something to soothe my inner soul. Now let me set some expectations right off the bat. This is not going to be an entire video of me sitting around chanting my Om. Nope, I'm going to actually do some real experimentation, some real research, and some real sharing, but it's not just me sitting there with my fingers touching each other. However, if you are the ADD type and you need to skip ahead, the number is down below somewhere where you can get right to the punchline. But I'm thinking it might actually help, so let's park back where we started. Oh my God, this is gonna suck. All right, and talk about the first kind. The first thing I found is called mindfulness. Now, I've tried this a few times. It is hard as hell. It's not mindfulness as in paying attention to where you are. It's actually paying attention to what's going on inside your head. You're supposed to watch your stream of thoughts go by, but you're not supposed to judge them. You're not supposed to rank them, rate them, think anything about them other than watch them go by like a movie screen. Have you ever tried to pay attention to your breath? And the minute you start doing that, all of a sudden the automatic pilot stops and you feel like you got to control your breath. Well, that's what it's been like for me. I have been thinking about my thoughts, trying not to judge them, but now I'm controlling them and thinking about my thoughts, and it's really hard. I'm sure there's a yogi somewhere or some pyramid-wearing person who knows how to do this, but I'm going to keep practicing it. So while I do that, let's just try. Okay, another type of meditation is called movement meditation. Now, they say it could be yoga, tai chi, even gardening. But since my green thumb is actually black, I'm going to try one of the lower tiered ones, which is walking. Now, as you're walking around, you're not supposed to be focusing on the trees and the noise and the people on the bicycles or even the mosquito that just flew into my ear. You're supposed to focus on your actual movements, the movement of your leg, the movement of your arm, the movement of your hand that's holding the camera, which I'm going to have to put down before we do this. But the idea is to get in groove and in tune with your body, with what is happening, how things are going, and that's where you're supposed to get lost. Now, I'm going to see if I can go get lost. Alrighty, another type of medication. Another type of meditation is called focused, and I think this is one I'm going to like best. The idea is to take an object and you focus on it, and that's all you look at. I guess it works really well with candles and flames and fires, which I don't have right now. I could just sit here and stare into the camera, but that would be really creepy for you guys. So I'm going to use hand sanitizer, which, in this day and age of COVID virus really makes a lot of sense. This is not easy. And the last type of meditation that I'm going to try is called mantra. Now, this one's not going to work for me so well because you're supposed to pick a word and repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. Now, I don't do repetition very well. I take that back. A lot of things do repeat in my head, like I could be working on a script or a story or a thought, but I'm constantly evolving it. Every time I repeat it, it's going to be different until it's just right. Well, if I'm chanting Om or Wander or Leaf, I'm going to get really bored really quick. Now, it could be like this dog that you probably hear behind me. He's got his chant mantra down pretty well, but I'm not very hopeful for this one. Okay, look, all joking around, I know I'm making a little fun of this, or at least it sounds like I am, but I really do want to try this. I really do want to be serious about it. Yeah, maybe a couple of them aren't going to be my cup of tea, and all of them actually seem to have a little something in common. But I am going to give it a pretty good shot. And for the next 2 weeks, that's what we're going to do. And this brings us right back to where it all started, with me groaning on the ground and talking about meditation and cameras falling over. Okay, let's wrap up this 2-week experiment. It really has been 2 weeks. It's just the filming has sort of took place on the end of it. I'm going to rank the 4 things that I've tried. Only a couple of them actually kind of work, but I do want to mention they're all very, very similar, and they all require you to focus on something other than what's happening. And I think that's why my number 1 actually works best. Number 4 for me was obviously the mantra. I just can't get into it. I'm not going to talk much more about it. Maybe it works for you. It didn't for me. For me, number 3 was, what was number 3? Dear Lord. Obviously, my brain doesn't work so well. Number 3 was mindfulness. And for me, that was a mind exercise, and I was really struggling with it. It didn't seem to want to help me calm things down, as it gave me a task that was almost impossible to do. Again, this might work for you. It didn't for me. Number 2, and actually this was kind of a tie, but for me, I love being out in the woods. I love walking. I love nature. So the movement for me was actually pretty cool. I do know that there have been times when I've been either walking or hiking or just riding my motorcycle or doing something where I'm focusing on a single thing that's not going around me, that I find myself getting into a zone, sort of falling into a cycle, if you will, of, well, I don't want to say mindfulness, but it was kind of mindfulness. It's just my brain stops working. So for me, movement is definitely a good number 2. But number 1, just focus. And I think it works for me because it's the exact opposite of the way the brain works. My brain is constantly going all over the place. And having this yin-yang opposite effect, where when you're focusing on something, sorry, I was just focusing on my thing. When I'm focusing on something, it's the exact opposite of the way my brain works, and so somehow that makes it easier for me to do. It's not calming or adjusting what my brain works, but it's flipping it around and looking at it from the other side. Am I going to keep doing this? Yeah, I think. Now, because of me, because of the procrastination gene, and because of everything else that happens in my weird little life, I do need to be hyper organized about it and very, very, very protective of it, I think. So I need to set aside a time, a place, put up guardrails and fences and signs that says Rick is meditating, and these are signs for me as well, mostly, to force myself to do it, to get into the habit, to not get distracted, to not be like the gym and, oh, I'll just do it later. So yeah, I think my 2-week experiment was a success. It is something I definitely want to do, to continue with. It helps, with my evening cup of chamomile tea, and yes, I do have one of those, by the way. It helps me to relax, so I think maybe incorporating it in the evening might be the best option for me. Just get away from the TV screen, get away from the end of the day. It seems weird starting it in the morning because you've already been asleep and you're already kind of relaxed. So I think end of day, I need to just set aside 10 minutes, go outside, focus quietly on something, sip my little chamomile tea, and get ready for a nice, quiet, restful evening. And that is the end of the experiment. And well, with the coronavirus thing, I think I'm going to have a lot of time to do it. I am bored out of my frickin' mind right now, but that's a whole nother story. Watch a vlog coming out in a few days. I'll tell you all about it. And with that, my friends, be a pirate, go wander internally, virtually, or something until this crisis is over, and we'll talk to you soon.